A dangerous predator is on the loose, violently attacking, sexually assaulting, then humiliating vulnerable women living alone in southern Ontario, Canada. Now, cops wonder if the sex-crazed psycho has turned killer. The frightening question comes after 38-year-old Marie-France Como is brutally violated, then discovered dead in her bed.
It was obviously a violent attack.
Just weeks later, 27-year-old Jessica Lloyd goes missing. Then investigators finally get a break. They pull over a vehicle matching the description of a suspicious SUV spotted near the missing woman's home. But the driver hardly fits the profile of a twisted killer. In fact, he's a military hero. His name, Colonel Russell Williams.
He was the commander of Canada's largest military base, 8,000 personnel under him. He was a pilot that flew missions around the world. He flew the Queen on visits to Canada.
Despite his pristine reputation, the decorated colonel is called in for questioning.
Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in. We're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously.
Detective Staff Sergeant Jim Smythe reads Colonel Russell Williams his rights and then quickly gets down to business.
Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating. Okay?
Right.
Over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences. In a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Okay? Because essentially, there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
and then I guess
or
I drive past. Yes, I would have to say there's a connection. Yeah.
Colonel Russell Williams has 2 residences, a new home in Ottawa and a cottage in Tweed. And Tweed just happens to be the same place where 2 of the vicious sexual assaults took place. Coincidence?
And I believe you're a door or 2 down from one of those 2 incidents
I think,
in Tweed.
3 doors down, yeah.
Yeah.
Very close, absolutely.
And then the detective asks the military man for his help.
What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to step out and make sure they're still available.
Detective Sergeant Smith left the room on occasion. He went out and conferred with his colleagues as to what was happening.
And what is happening outside the interrogation room is an army of cops are assembling. There are 60 to 70 investigators gathering and processing evidence in real time and real quickly. In fact, each time Colonel Williams reveals something potentially incriminating,
They were ready to search. And as he was talking about different things, they were able to then execute the warrants. So as they're talking to him, they're at his house. They've got his cart.
and almost immediately the results are in on the first piece of explosive evidence. It's confirmed the tire markings from the colonel's vehicle and the ones discovered in the field next to Jessica's home are an exact match. Detective Smythe goes back into the interrogation room armed with the damning details.
What kind of tires do you have on your Pathfinder?
I think they're Toyo.
Would it surprise you to know that when the CSI officers were looking around her property, that they identified a set of tire tracks to the north of her property? They identified those tires as the same tires on your Pathfinder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The investigator thought Williams would say, I loaned my car to someone. He would clear himself just instantly, but he didn't. He just kept talking.
If that's the case, that's very surprising.
Then, crime scene investigators process the shoe impressions found outside Jessica's home and compare them with, get this, the very same boots the colonel is currently wearing in his interview.
The investigator looked at his shoes. He asked if he could look at the shoes, took them out, did a comparison.
And in a matter of minutes, the results are back, and so is Detective Smythe.
The problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up, okay? And it's not issues that point away from you, it's issues that point at you, okay? This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot
Yeah.
just a little while ago, okay? These are identical.
Next, the detective puts all of his cards on the table.
Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house. You and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why.
Well, I don't know what to say. It's,
Well, you need to explain it, because this is the other problem we're having, Russell, okay?
And share something with the colonel that's about to push him over the edge.
Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa, okay? So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed, and your vehicle's been seized, okay?
At this point in the multi-hour interview, DNA has already been recovered at all 4 of the victims' residences.
When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone.
Then textbook interrogation analysts will say this is where the interview takes a huge turn, with the tiniest of twists in the form of a name change.
Russell.
call me Russ, please.
Okay.
And when he was broken, he said, "Call me Russ." So he knew, the detective sergeant investigating him knew that he brought him down. And at that point, the interrogation turns very different.
It's hard to believe this is happening. I'm struggling with how upset my wife is.
What are you looking for?
I'm concerned that they're tearing apart my wife's brand new house.
They had a warrant for the dream home, which turned out to be the key thing that broke Williams. Please don't bother my wife by searching the dream home.
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth.
Okay.
Okay. So where is she?
Get him out.
Coming up, confessions of a twisted killer.
And there she was in a wooded area.
Sex, lies, videotape, and a secret room.
Crime trophies that he was collecting. He started putting them in a room in his house.
And the ultimate double life exposed.
A different kind of sick.
Absolutely.
Why don't we start with Jessica? How does that start for you?
I saw her in her house on her treadmill. Wednesday night, I guess.